Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to Dr. Amir and fellow friends. I'm Nima Basri. So today my topic is about introduction to qualitative research. Okay, there are 4 contents today. So about first, introduction to qualitative. Secondly, research paradigm and framing the research. Third, sampling and data collection. And finally, validity and reliability. So today I would like to start with the nature what we have facing now, the pandemic COVID-19. That's the studies about qualitative studies about healthcare providers' experience of working during COVID-19 pandemic. Here, the studies is about the pandemic itself, how it's the experience of the workers, because this pandemic era is unique experience that may happen in the working life of every healthcare providers and also our frontliner. Okay, so we need to explore and to feel their experience during the COVID-19 because of this pandemic. Okay, so I will start with first content about introduction to qualitative. Qualitative research is an umbrella term covering an array of interpretive techniques which seek to describe, decode, translate, and otherwise come to terms with the meaning, not the frequency of certain more or less naturally occurring phenomena in the social world. That's quoted by Van Veenen in 1975. Okay, talking about research process, there are 5 steps. First of all, we have to start up what the identity, a topic, what that we are concerned about. And then after that, we get an idea what we are focused on specific problem within the larger topics or what we concern. As I mentioned earlier, this era of COVID, the pandemic, is our intention of our idea for the research. And then the data. How do we gather the data, the information relation? Okay, a student, we have data from journals, conference, document report, annuals, and also the blueprint where we can gather the data and get the information relevant to our problems. And finally, we analyze the analysis of the data, and at the end, of course, the result, how we publish, and also to present what we have found with the research. Qualitative research is designed to clarify situation and phenomena when operative variables unclear. It also determine why an intervention was anticipated effects. Thirdly, it's defined fresh ways to look at over-familiar problems and also to understand how tasks, policies, roles, or other systematic elements are perceived, the experience by the participants. And finally, we build theory, hypothesis, generalization. Okay, according to Merriam 2009, the qualitative research is designed to, as important characteristic of qualitative research is that the process is inductive, that is, researchers gather data to build concept, hypotheses, or theories rather than deductively testing hypotheses as an positivist research. Qualitative researchers build towards theory from observations and institute understanding gleaned from being in the field. Finding inductively derived from the data in a qualitative study are the form of themes, categorized typologies, concepts, tentative hypotheses, and even theory about a particular aspect of the practice. And then when to use the qualitative data? When there are a detailed understanding of the issues is needed. And the theory we have to address the gap in understanding is developed. And also there's a lack of fit between quantity and quality measures and the problem exists. And also finally, to follow up, we have to explain the explanation and to understand the concept on the context. And then we're going to the second one, research paradigm and framing the research. Do you know that research paradigm is? Okay, research paradigm is a guide by set of belief that called a worldwide. It's a way of thinking about the world, a set of assumptions about reality. Okay, this is about theory, how we arrange a set of concepts to define and explain some phenomena. It's followed by models that provides an overall framework for how we look at reality. And then the concepts are clearly specified, deriving from particular models, methodologies, how to define, we'll go about study any phenomena, and finally of the methods are specific research technique we are using. So it's about philosophy assumption, positivism, and constructivism. What is actually the positivism and constructivism? On the physiology, on ontology, it's about the nature of reality. Reality is objective and singular apart from the researcher, while constructivism is reality is subject and multiple as seen by the participants. On the epistemology, what is the relationship between the researcher and what can be done, what we know? On the positivism, researcher is independent from being researched, while for the constructivism is researcher interacts with the being researched. Archaeology is about the value, the roles of value, where for positivism is value-free, impartial, dispassionate researcher not influenced by strong emotion, and for the constructivism, the value-laden, which is often constructed with an objective and value-free. About methodology, how do we discover knowledge? For the positivism, is cross-sectional studies, experimental studies, longitudinal studies, and also the survey. But for the constructivism, we have action research, we have case studies, we have ethnography, we have grounded theories, humanistic, and etc. This was quoted by Newman 2011. Okay, talking about features of research in paradigms. Positivism and constructivism, still the same. But what is actually the positivism and constructivism? As we know, positivism is about quantitative data, and constructivism is about quantitative data. And then for positivism paradigm, we use a large sample, while for the constructivist paradigm, use a small sample. Talking about quantitative, we are test the hypothesis. Compared to the qualitative, we build the hypothesis with concern with generation theories. And for the qualitative data, the data is highly specific and precise. Okay, and for constructivism paradigm, data is rich and subjective. The location is artificial, while for the constructivist paradigm, the location is natural. Reliable is high at the positivist paradigm, while for the constructivist paradigm, reliability is low. On the positive paradigm, the validity is low, while for the constructivist paradigm, validity is high. And finally, generalize from the sample to population, while for the constructivist paradigm is about generalize from one setting to each another. That is why we can see that sample to population, this is very large sample. One to another, we can see that the small sample for this for the qualitative. And then the constructivist Constructivist research is how the people develop the subjective, the meaning. It is very varied and multiple. And also these meaning are negotiated socially and historical as a result of human interaction and cultural norms. Example, social ills today versus yesterday, different societies, those who are teachers how to know the students' experience, and also those who are uh, illness about the cancer, how their experience, how their family support, and so forth. And thus, we have to understand the meaning, that the meaning is not imprinted on individual, but is constructed by, as mentioned by Craswell 2007 and Craswell and Post 2018. Okay, the positive approach. The first, we have to define our research topic. And then after that, we have to define our research question, our IV, our DV, and what is our hypothesis we have. And then after that, we design the data collection and we design data analysis. After that, we collect the data, analyze and interpret the result, and finally report our finding. But in the way of doing this, we also have to do the pilot study, and we have to look at the literature review. What are the topic we are study of, and this for the positive approach we call it in deductive. And the constructivist approach is about inductive, where the researcher needs to define what is their research topic and define the research questions, designs data collection, and then collect the data. Okay, during the data collection, they will be interpret the data, and here, during this, the literature we have to do the analysis data, and also this in literature review we have to subset each other what we doing the analysis, what have been reporting our chapter 2 on literature review. We take the top maybe during the analysis they have a new findings that we have to subset with our literature review, and then after that we interpret data, and then finally do the interview session. Is it the research answered this research question is being answered, and then finally we have to report our findings, and also we have to look back to our literature review whether it's unanswered or not. This is adapted from Mailer and Beckmore 2005. Okay, talking about characteristic of research design, qualitative versus quantitative research. Point of comparison, qualitative and also the quantitative. Focus of research, qualitative data is about nature, about the essence, while for the quantitative data is how much, how many. And the question for the qualitative data is what and how. Even though how much and how many, but the quantitative data and qualitative data is the question how and what. Quality data the quantitative is about how and what. Okay, philosophy roots is a constructivism, as mentioned earlier, and also for the quantitative is about positivism. Associate phrase, work feel naturalistic, grounded, and about the quantitative based on experiment and the statistical. Goals of investigations, hypothesis generating, understanding, and discovery, while for the quantitative with prediction, control, confirmation, hypothesis testing. Design characteristics, For the qualitative, it's very flexible, evolving, and emergent. While for the quantitative, it's about we predict and structured. Sample, small, non-random, purposeful. And quantitative is large, random, and representative. For data collection, researcher as primary instrument, interview, doing the observation, while for the quantitative, imitate instruments with the skills, test, survey. Primary modes of analysis, inductive, constant, comparative. For the quanti, we do the deductive, the statistical. Okay, for the model of analysis for the qualitative, we can use adversity or in vivo. For the quantitative, for the statistical, of course, we use the SPSS, ANOVA, MAGOVA, and so forth. Okay, and finding, of course, for qualitative is it's about holistic, rich, descriptive, while for the quantitative is precise and numericals. It's about quantitative is how much and how many, but the qualitative is about nature. That is why the finding is very rich. Okay, there are 5 traditions on qualitative research. First is narrative studies, phenomenology. Third, grounded theory, ethnography, and finally, case study. The research focus this part we talk about research focus, research problem, and what are the quantitative approach we're using. Okay, first about narrative, we have to explore the life of individual. The problem is how tell the story of individual experience. Okay, the narrative about individual. Let's say from the now we have Tun Dr. Mahathir, our previous prime minister. He had been 2 times being a prime minister. Want to explore his life individual, or Nelson Mandela, his experience being a president at South Africa. Want to know their stories, their life experience, the stories about individual experience. And phenomenology is about to understand the essence of the experience. Research problem, we have to describe the essence of the life phenomena, and I myself doing phenomenology, which is a transcendental phenomenology, which is developed by Husserl, a philosophy to qualitative research method aimed at understanding human experience, also stated by Mustakas 1984. And then grounded theory. Grounded theory meaning that we build a new theory, okay, develop a theory grounded from the field, where we build a theory that problem is grounded. A theory is a view of participants, where the grounded theory. Okay, followed by ethnography. Ethnography is about the culture. Then it's describe and interpret a culture sharing of the group, and the problem is about to describe, interpret the share pattern of the culture. How about the native peoples, the for example, the orang asli, or maybe the culture of the people, the ethnic for something we want to explore more. So we use the ethnography. A case study is developed in lab description and analyze a case or multiple case, where the research problem is provide in-depth understanding of a case or cases. Okay, framing the study, we have to identify topic on area of concern. Then we have to know that difficult step is to perceive a problem within the area of interest the significant, manageable size, and also the systematically approachable. And finally, the problem the problem that must be shaped in order to guide the study. Okay, we have 5 quantitative. Then we have to identify our area of study. What to study? What is actually interest you for the study? And does something at work puzzles on you? What are the careers about? And area of study can come from works or reading journals, reports, or suggestion or to further research. A case of pandemic, as I mentioned earlier, what interests you? Because we want to know the experience for the frontliner. Okay, does something work puzzles you? Because we know that their workload every day, new cases, and they have their own family. We want to know, explore about his experience, he or her perceptive, and to know their feels on the COVID-19, about their family. They're missing their family actually. And then what are you curious about? Want to know the life of the pandemic, the frontliner. And then nowadays after MCO, there are many studies about the COVID-19. Quali or quanti, both are so many. So from here, we can select from the journals and also the reports that suggest for our research. Okay. Then talking about problem statement, what's an area topic you are interested and about which you have a particular question, the facts, the details about the problem, the issue from the literature and the pure research. And then it helps the reader to understand the dimension of the problems. Significant, what we don't know that research will address. What is the problem? What should we care about it? Who is affected by it? How does the problem impact on the society? Oh, sorry. Okay, case of the COVID pandemic. This is why we should care about it, because they are the frontliner. We want to know their problem. Okay, who is affected, especially the families, the people, the society, and how does the problem impact on the society? Okay, nowadays we have a new norms every day. Everyone goes out from the house, wear a mask, use a sanitizer, and so forth. So what we know and sometimes what we don't know, the significance. And the gap in knowledge between we know and what we still don't know. What the aspect of the topic are you particularly concerned? Is it a gap in our knowledge based on the research to date is inadequate? And this is a problem actually. And purpose of the study, the statement of purpose is a major objective intent of the study. We need to make a case for your research, followed by the research question of the study. And finally, the research question. What are the specific research questions that elaborate the research purpose? This is taken from Merriam and Tisdale, 2019, and also Bloomberg and Wolf from 2018. Okay, how to construct your problem statement? It can be compared to a funnel shape, broad on the top, a general idea, narrow at the bottom towards the specific question, and the problem statement explains the rationale for engaging the research. And finally, the problem statement is caught within a carefully constructed EC that lays out the logic of the research study. And it has contained the fourth element, context, significant, gap, and purpose. So this is the interactive studies of research problem, purpose, and question, where the research problem, we have to identify a particular issues in need investigation, which I mentioned earlier, which is broad. And then we narrow down with the research statement. Advance is a major objective for the beginning. And then finally, we narrow down back research question statement that specific guide queries for narrowing the studies. For qualitative, we are answering the research questions, while for the quantitative, you are answering the questions. Okay, now we're going to the sampling and data collection. Sampling is a unit of analysis, and then the researcher need to consider where, when, who, and what, how to collect the data, and also to select the research site, the time, the people, and the events related. Okay, for qualitative data, for qualitative studies, we measure using a purposive sampling, which is assumption that the investigator wants to discover, understand, and gain insight, and therefore must select a sample from which the most can be learned, according to Mariam and Tisdale 2018. Sampling in quality data, primary sampling is a strategy used in qualitative research, and researchers select individuals, site, and purposely inform and understand of research problem, type of sampling, probability and non-probability sampling. Probability sampling, sample random, allows to generalize of the population, and in research, in qualitative research, it's non-probability or purposive sampling is used. So either non-probability or purposive sampling is used. So for the qualitative, using the purposive sampling. Purposive sampling. There are three considerations go into the purpose sampling approach, which is participant is the same, is the sample, criterion sampling. Secondly, type of sample strategies, and then followed by sample size. For the sample selection, we have to discover, to understand, and gain insight, information, which cases. Purpose sampling start with the selection criteria, which is criterion based on selection. The criteria must relate to the purpose of the study, must have rationale, and to your sampling, you should first establish the criteria that will guide case selection, and then select the case that meet those criteria. How many samples actually? Actually, there are no answers, at least in the beginning. Depends on the question being asked, the data being gathered, and analysis in progress, and the purpose and resources you have to support the studies. Sampling, we do sampling until we are saturated or redundant, until a point of saturating or redundant. Okay, what is actually the theoretical saturation? The data saturation entails bringing new participants continually into the studies until the data set is complete, as indicated by data replication or redundancy. Saturation is reached when the searcher gathers data to the point of this mean diminishing returns when new things is being added. As according to Creswell and Post 2018, explain that the inquirer no longer finds new information that added to an understand of the category. Okay, about the data collection, we have to attend the ethical consideration where first we have to know the location sites or the individual related, gaining access and develop rapport. Okay, we want to interview Mr. A. So first of all, we have to doing good rapport with her, and then after that, we do sampling purposely, collect data, and record, and also minimize the field issue and store data security. That's a 10 of ethical and consideration. And for the interview models, we have structured interview, semi-structured interview, semi-structured and non-structured interviews. For qualitative, we are using a semi-structured which are about 70%, and structured interview about 30%. The structured interview most about the background of the informant, okay, and then semi-structure more on to answer what is our research question 1, 2, 3, and 4. For my case about exploring the low carbon lifestyle, first my research question is to explore, to understand the meaning, and then after that we know how they are practice, how, and then how they adopt, and then after that we want to know uh, their lifestyle about the low carbon society awareness. Okay, data collection approach, interview. There are, in that interview, conduct one by one uh, via with whether we are using a Zoom, we're using Google Meet like today, and also a WebEx. Based on current situation, we have to use the web-based. Previously, most of the researcher use doing the interview face to face, which is a very we have to do based on the current situation on the interviews, and also focus discussion group, where for this first discussion, probably about 5 people in the group is much easier. The less is easy, because if you take about 10 or 12 people in the focus discussion group, is, as a researcher, we have to know, we have to answer each of the person there the question based on our research question. It's take times, and that's why we took a small sample for the focus group discussion, where we can focus to the small people with this with our much better. We use the small group compared to the big group. Okay, at least about less than 5 people in the focus group discussion. Okay, about the observation, participant observation with a complete participant, and participant also as observer, while participant role is more silent than a researcher role, more participant, observer as participant, non-participant more observer, participant secondary, and finally complete observer, which is observer hidden. Okay, this is where we, as a researcher, we have to observe the site, bring our like, field notes, and then bring our pictures, taking our pictures, video, and so forth to observe the site. And also, for example, we are interview Mr. A. We follow Mr. A at the site. Just observe what he doing, and then we take it to the field notes. Okay, the data collection about document, also on research, we on the journal or the diary, and also examine from the personal document, email, letter, etc. And for the document analysis from the government policies, annual reports, and also the examine the autobiographies and biographies. And audio-visual materials, taking photo or records a video, use video or film in social situation or individual. For example, that fellow have a website and FB, Twitters, or they have a group. For example, I'm going to interview committee. Some of the committee, they have their own website, so I just go through the website, and then after that doing the observation. So they are doing in many things we need to doing for data collections. Okay, and then collect sounds if related to the studies, and then guided phone or computer based message. Okay, this is the interview timeline. First, we have to determine our RQ, because RQ will answer by the interviews. Okay, we have, for example, we have 4 RQs. So our question based on that. And we have to identify the interview based on the purpose sampling procedures. Okay, interview structures, highly structured, semi-structured or unstructured. And also we do observation, field notes, records, picture, videos and memo. And then after that we do a pilot test. And during the interview session, we also need a consent from the informant. And then after that, we do a transcription where we build a code, many codes, and then we divide into teams and to category. And then also doing the audit trails and members check. Audit trails is about sorry. Uh, Audit trails and member check will be doing for if there are question maybe want to audit trail is just something that a record what we do at first and at the end, and members check after we interview, we do the codes and the teams, we calling back the informant about to find the interviews and whether he or she agree what the codes have been during the transcription, and then it's finished. And then finally about validity and reliability. Validity is the concern a degree into which account to accurate the truthful. In quality research, validity concern the degree to which is a finding is judged to have been interpretive in a correct ways, and also to process involve a combination of qualitative research strategies, thick description, closeness of researcher to participants. And about the meaning is mentioned by Brimberg and McGrath in 1985, like integrity, character and quality to be assessed relative to purpose and circumstances, assessing accurate or finding as best described by researcher and participant and informant by Creswell and Post 2018. As I mentioned earlier, it's about the qualitative data is small and it's rich, and we also get the consent form from the informant, and after that we're doing a members check back, and then whether they agree with the information given based on the question. Okay, and the strategies is collaborating evidence through the triangulation. Okay, let's say during interview with Mr. A, she says that okay, maybe you can interview Mr. B. Mr. B also involved in these studies, or he is very expert. So that's a been triangulation data being there. Okay, and discover a negative case analysis or disconformity evidence, clarify researcher bias or engaging in reflexivity, members check, as mentioned earlier, have a prolonged, educate, engage and persist observation, peer review, collaborating with the informants, enable external audit, generating a rich thick description, and having a peer review of the data and research process. And about reliability, it's about consistency to extent to which research as finding can be replicated, and if study repeated, will it yield to the same result? Reliability concerns the ability of different researchers to make the same observation of a given phenomena if and when the observation is conducted using the same methods and procedures. Perspective and procedure. Investigators' position to establish a common platform for coding and develop a preliminary code list, define and share the initial codebook among coders, apply the codebook to additional transcribe and compare coding across multiple researchers, assess and report the intercodes agreement among the researcher, revise and finalize the codebook to inform further coding, peer examinations, peer debriefing, using audit trails that allow researchers to retrace the process by which the researchers arrive at the final finding. So that's all for my presentation about introduction of qualitative research, and I would like to credit to Dr. Muhammad Mushir Arshad, PhD, um, Senior Lecturer at Department of Professional Development and Community Education, Faculty of Educational Studies, for using his lecture notes for this session. Thank you.